4 days ago, in the year 2014, at this particular time, we were running close to the close of the poll, the Scottish Independence Referendum. The day the UK stood still to witness if Scotland will be independent. It was a well-fought one, both sides arguing their points for and against independence. But eventually, the result came and it ended 45 to 55 in favor of no. And that was, if we count the vote, 2 million plus votes to 1.6 votes. People thought that was the end of it. But even today, the test, the struggle, and the motivation and inspiration for the independence of Scotland is very much alive. Good evening. Welcome to the Nigerian Pride. I am your host, Lion Olu Shokunbi. Today is all about Olu's rants. I just want to rant today. Yes. It's just about the rant. And we're starting the rant from the independence issue of Scotland, the topic. Why at all should Scotland be independent? Yes, it's been argued that, well, democracy and national self-determination is something which could be used by Scotland to ask for their independence. But then, are we really ready for this independence? Many argue we will be able to afford it. In fact, people have asked, what will be the currency of an independent Scotland? Or how will we defend our national boundaries? Different points raised. Or how will my pension be protected in an independent Scotland? In fact, and when we come to the ethnic minority community, like, oh, do you think there won't be high rate of racism? And these and many more are the reasons why some are unsure about independence. And very well, we have many who are very much ready for independence. But how did we get here? How did we get here? I mean, the argument has been on even before I was born. Because you just remember back in 1978, what happened between 1977 and 1978 that led to the Scottish Referendum of 1978, which was where the first time it was attempted at all to bring some devolution to Scotland. That act then, as the Scotland Act of 1978, I mean, it mentioned then that, there must be 40%, 40% of the electorate must support that. And what happened at the end of the day? In fact, only 64% of the qualified electorate voted, and only 32.9% of the overall. Hence, the Scotland Act of 1978 was repealed. And fast forward, that will have given us the Scottish Assembly. some of the reasons we have today were the reasons why it failed then. And that was 1978, right? Fast forward to another 19 years later. New generation of people, those who were at the forefront of the 1978-79 ones, they were older now. And at that time, it was the Labour government that took the aims of affairs at the Scottish Parliament when the Scottish Parliament was finally established, the Scottish Parliament. And that was the Scotland Act of 1998. So the referendum was done 1997. And yes, the Scottish Parliament, which we all know today, that sits in the heart of Holyrood in Edinburgh, was established. Yes, the Labour Party gave us the first leading, or we say they were the first to lead the Scottish Parliament. And they actually dominated Scotland for a long time. And then the Scottish National Party came around. They've been around for a long time, actually. But the time came. And the former leader and former First Minister, Alex Salmond, led SNP to victory. And that pushed for the event that happened 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, there were different arguments we were given. Oh, if Scotland does not go as an independent nation, the United Kingdom will not leave the EU, the European Union. Many sold out for that. Oh, I won't say sold out. Many believed in that story. We had the leaders of the three major parties then in the UK traveling down or traveling up to Scotland the same day in a push to make sure that no, that referendum does not come out as a yes vote. And for me, then I was just looking at it. Okay, what's all this? What's all these about? 2014. Personally, I believe in independence, the independence of an individual to decide what he or she wants for herself and to be responsible for every decision he or she has taken. So naturally, I will have sympathy for independence. Apart from that, I've read from the history of Nigeria how Nigeria achieved independence. Read the history of Nigeria as to how the British colonial government governed Nigeria and other colonies then, which I think the Black Lives Matter people, some of them are referring to today. But the thing for me is that I see some in the Black Lives Matter movement calling for the removal of all these statues showing things. And I say, no, why? Why are you asking for that? Why are you calling for that? If you're calling for that and asking for that, then you're trying to erase the history. No matter how bitter that part of history was, it still needs to be there. Let the generation to come see it, let them feel it, let them get to understand it. I would rather support an inclusion of that part of the history of the UK in our education curriculum, rather than saying, oh, pull down the statues of that person, No. I'm not in support of that. Let it be there, but let it be recorded in history and in the education curriculum. What those individuals, what they did. They were celebrated back then, but sincerely, that they do the right thing. Now, fast forward that to where we are today. The march for independence is growing. The recent victory of the Scottish National Party at the Scottish parliamentary elections has won. The new partnership between the Scottish National Party and the Scottish Green Party shows a unity, or maybe we say a partnership, between two parties that support independence. Now let's come back to ourselves. And I want to start this from ranting that why independence? Why should I believe in your independence movement? Why at all? When I know, let's start with the fact that, okay, maybe someone is an international student in the UK, studying in Scotland. I know I don't have any recourse to public fund. There's even nothing from the Scottish government to support international students. I have to pay heftily to get my student visa. I have to pay over £10,000 for the school fees. Yeah, that's no problem because I decided to come and study in this country rather than my motherland. However, remember, when the colonialists came to our land, they paid nobody any money. Rather, they took away. But I'm not on about that today. I'm on about the Scottish independence argument. Yes, you may say, right, prescription is free in Scotland. That is this, that is that. But do you know that every student or everyone on work visa, international student, when I mean international student now, well, I think we are all in the same port at the moment, even with the European students. But before now, non-EU students, they actually have to pay what is called the, what's it called now? They have to pay the health insurance fee, even before they can be allowed to pay the visa application fee on the Home Office website. IHS, so you pay the International Health Insurance, or IHS fee. You pay that for the number of years you're going to be here, you pay that. So, which means technically, for every service I'm getting from my GP, whichever GP I register with, I have paid. Now, you've got 20 hours to work as a student, as an international student per week. Out of those 20 hours, you will contribute to the NHS, depending on how much you earn. You may not pay tax if you don't pay up, if you don't earn up to that threshold. But if you earn up to that, then you have to pay. So imagine, taxes are collected for what? They're collected to provide revenue for the government to be able to provide the needs. Some of the basic needs we need. We need for our survival. So the healthcare and everything. Meanwhile, we have paid IHS already. So you have those students, different ones, study, undergraduate, postgraduate, and they come out, and to even get a job is the most difficult thing in the world. Some will say, oh, you've not got the skills, but you've got the education. Why can't you be considered for that entry-level position and provided training to move on? In fact, sometimes you have people who are professionals in their own right in this field, different field, coming from another country, and they've migrated in here, and you're saying, no, sorry, you've not got the UK experience. But today we have organizations like the Black Professional Scotland, led by Enoch, or Enoch, I would say, Enoch. We have so many organizations like that. We have Jezreel, who are all trying to what? To form partnership with different organizations across Scotland to help bring ethnic minority people, importantly, international students. Maybe give them opportunities in terms of internship and 3 months or 6 months paid internship. Even Jambo Radio is helping in a way. Now, I think if someone has gone through that, graduated, worked hard, and eventually, was able to meet the 10 years requirement to be qualified for the indefinite leave to remain, do you actually think just telling the person, oh, independence would just make that person be convinced to say, okay, I'm supporting independence? When he's paid his way through everything. Because yes, that's the thing. Once you can afford your university, your tuition fee and everything, you can pay it all up. Yeah, and you legally apply for everything in terms of the visa. Yeah, you get to stay. And then we'll talk about, oh, the United Kingdom is this, the United Kingdom is that. Yeah, it's a big country. And I don't want to even go that other way in the rant now, because if I go that way, I don't want that to be taken off point. So I will stay within the lane I am. So tell me, how do you convince someone like that to be in support of independence? Such a person will be like, no, I believe in the UK. It's the UK I know. I just want to have the red passport, represent the UK everywhere I go to, and that's it. Oh, the British pounds is this. Yeah, he's the greatest one. But I can reverse you back to history that the country called Nigeria, the Nigerian naira, yes, was at the time the same exchange rate as the pounds. It was even much more in exchange rate to the dollars then. But yeah, for the kind of leaders we have in that part of the country, we are where we are today, where the naira is just misbehaving anyhow now, and it's just out of the place. Inflation is everywhere. Small, medium organizations can't even make enough profit anymore with the way the naira has blown out of the window and can't be controlled because it's flying high like an eagle that is never looking to come down onto the rocks again. But back to the Scottish independence, because that's where we are. That's why I wouldn't look at you to say, no, why should I support Scottish independence? I pay for my IHS anyway, so it's until I gain the status of being a person that has indefinite leave to remain in the UK, that then I can get health services for free, prescription for free. Well, because in England they pay for prescriptions anyway. I don't mind paying for that anyways. But when you look at what the Tories have been doing, you also ask yourself, is it worth it being in the UK? Some will argue, oh, you're talking about Scottish independence. What currency will we use? Excuse me. Did you know that the British pound is actually not the greatest currency in the world? Yes, it is not. It's not at all, because the British, you will be surprised if you hear about some other country currencies that worth far more than the British currency. And you just have to ask yourself what's happening. You need to check the Qatari riyal to know how much that worth, and you do it in exchange to the pounds, and you know that, wow, there are actually countries with currencies that are far more than ours. So let's come back to the Scottish argument, to the Scottish independence argument. Yes, it's true. Self-determination is very, very key, very important for every nation. Mark my words, I didn't say country now. Every nation. Because people mix country with nation with, they just mix it up anyhow. The United Kingdom is a country. England is a nation. Wales is a nation. Northern Ireland is a nation. Scotland is a nation because they have a group of people who have similar or the same culture, values, and everything. You have a country when you have different cultures and different values altogether. And that's why the UK is the country. And that's why they call the four nations the four nations, while UK is the country. But why should Scotland not be independent? Why? You see, English students, when I mean English, I mean student from England. You only have to come and live in any part of Scotland for 3 years and be qualified for free education. Down in England, they have to take student loans. I know student loans are here as well, but then, you have some level of free education to an extent. Yeah, you have free prescriptions as well. SNP government have done great on that one, right? Now someone is telling me that, but now they are struggling for beds. And you just have to just take a quick 15 minutes drive from Paisley here to Govan to go and see the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital and see what's happening in the A&E. And now we are calling in the army, calling in the fire service, taxi company drivers to help. But seriously, we need to act fast on that. But I think Scotland will be a wonderful, successful, independent nation. Also, you just have to look at the argument. You just have to look at the argument and look at the points being made. Scotland becoming an independent nation in the world. Remember, these all started from two kingdoms. The Kingdom of England, the Kingdom of Scotland. And it was all brought together when King James VI became James I of England. He united the two kingdoms. And then we had the Great Britain, finally in 1707. Scottish independence. I think it will bring a lot of opportunity to Scotland, and I don't think for once that Scotland will fail as an independent nation. In fact, because it's the resilience of the people that will actually make a nation survive. Now, some of the arguments that are turning some people away again is that, why will Scotland become independent and then go back and join the EU? Why? Because some people have their own reservation for being in the EU anyways. And these are the things I keep telling people, that if we have the referendum tomorrow and it's a Scottish independence and it's a yes vote victory, it doesn't mean the SNP government or the Green Party becomes the first government. In fact, you will be surprised at what will happen, because what will happen is that we need to form a new government. There will be elections. These parties will all have to campaign. We have to decide the system of government we want. And that's where you will see even the partnership we have today between the SNP and the Greens will go separate ways. Why? The Greens don't want to recognize the Queen as their queen. They want a republic. We don't know where the SNP will stand on that. Also, in the Greens policy, they want to tax the elites more. And when I mean the elites, You've paid school, you have been successful at creating a business, you have been successful as employing people, helping them to make a living for life, and then this party is saying, well, we still want to tax you more. You've talked about living wage, and yes, we are paying the living wage now. We've got different insurance policies and this stuff and everything, but yet you still say, well, you want us to pay more. Part of the reasons why the Green Party wouldn't get enough vote to win any election and only gets into the back door with the proportional voting system we have here in Scotland. Because when you have a policy like that, then you're killing innovation. There will be no innovation. People will just take their innovation somewhere else. But however, those are things we still have to look at when it's time. When the referendum is won, then we can think about that. So, for those of you asking about the currency, this is what I can say. Whatever any economics tell you, they will tell you all the scary stories of the world, in the world, or anything you want to call it. But the truth of the matter is, you have to look at all other countries that have gained independence from Great Britain before. Are they not doing well with their own currency? Is Australia not doing well? Is Canada not doing well? Is the United States not doing well? It's left for you to think about. So, the Scottish pounds, yeah, that's what we want to trade in. How do we get it up? Yes, we have to make some hard economic decisions. And once we are able to do such, then the value of our currency will go up. I'm ranting again about the fact that some argue to say, oh, we're going to push the nuclear depot out of Scotland and independent Scotland. Hell no. That's part of where we make revenue for an independent Scotland. Whether you believe it or not is the truth. If we gain independence, that will be part of the things we'll use in negotiation with the rest of the UK. Just look at all the guys, all the Scottish-born guys who are in the military. The Royal Navy, the Royal Army, Air Force, and all of them. Or you just want to make them jobless because you don't want to keep that? We will have our own armed forces. We will have our own Navy. We will have our own Air Force. Our own police. Our brilliant, wonderful healthcare system will also be there for us. And all of these are things that will position us as an independent country. Just look at you as starting a business. Or maybe you've been trading with a partner before you are partners. And you think, oh, you know what? It's high time I go my own way. And you think, oh, and you start getting scared of what will happen. No. You have to understand the fact that you have to go out there and take the risk. You can't be scared of taking risks because even sleeping and waking up every day is you taking a risk. Life is all about risk taking. So on both sides, there are wonderful arguments not to support Scotland's independence and also to support our independence. But what I say is this. Que sera, sera. We'll be going for a music break soon. What will be. No matter what people do in their corners, in their position, I think a day will come when Scotland will become an independent nation. I think so. Why I'm not saying the other part is because even when you say no, to independence, that means the status quo remains. But I think a time is coming. The independence movement will gain a victory. But I hope it's in my lifetime. And today is all about Olu's rant. Well, if you have not joined us earlier, the first hour was all about the independence rant. At this point, I just want to look at what's happening with this coronavirus of a thing. Many people have had it. We lost so many loved ones to this. Some have got illnesses that will live with them for the rest of their lives. Yes, we've got the vaccines, but we all know the vaccines aren't cures. No, they don't cure it. All the vaccine will do for you is to prepare your system, your body system, your immune system, so that in case you eventually contact this virus, you don't get too sick or too ill to the point of getting hospitalized or dying. Yeah, you may tell me, yeah, we've had people who've been double jabbed and this, yeah, that's true. But we've had many who've been double jabbed, they've contacted it again, and they've been able to stand. Brilliant. There are arguments about pregnant women taking it or not and things like that. Or you even talk about, before we were talking about, 12-year-old to 15-year-olds being offered. But just this week, 5-year-old to 11. What? Or is it 2-year-old to 11? I don't know what that doctor was talking about the other day. And my question is this. If a child has flu, no medicinal prescription is given. They just tell you, make sure he or she is not dehydrated. Let his or her immune system fight the virus. And then we come now and you tell me, the 2 years, this younger ones. Well, 12 to 15, if you look at what has happened so far, the advice was that the UK government should not, because there won't be any effect of it. Don't offer them. Leave the decision to the devolved nation government to decide. And we all know the devolved nation government, we all say, yes, we are offering it. I'm not against you offering it to them. Let them decide to come forward for it or not. But what I really want to look at is that, it's also a time when we're talking about equality, inclusion. And I think this chat about equality, inclusion and everything should also go for businesses, that when you're applying something to a particular industry, it should go across the whole business industry. Don't just pick out some. And someone will say, Olu, I know where you're going with this. Yeah, you may know, but I'm not going that way just yet. The sport, the hospitality sector especially, have suffered a lot with this. And when I'm talking about the hospitality sector, I'm not talking only about the hotels or the restaurant. I'm talking also about the nightclubs and all those places. Whether we like it or not, these are businesses owned by some people. In England, they've dropped the idea of the vaccine passport. But in Scotland, it's going ahead. But, really, the vaccine passport does not show that I don't have coronavirus. It only shows that, yes, I've had the 2 jabs or something. That's it. I can still be infected. And I can still pass it over. But what I would have loved to see is a model adopted by the Scottish government or any other government that would help these businesses to protect people. I mean, the protection is even hard to see, because you even see kids now, kids of 6, 7 years old, having COVID-19. But what I always say, and what I believe with science, some of the big scientists we have today may decide not to believe, but this is what we were all taught in secondary school anyway about viruses, that the system will always fight against it. The system will get to know it, and that's it. And I believe that's what the vaccines have been brought to do for us, the adults. And my question is, how many child has been killed by this virus, really, and not something else? How many child was actually admitted into hospital for COVID-19 and not another illness, and then along the line they got infected with COVID? I have a wonderful friend in the health secretary, and I know he's dealing with a lot of issues. But what I have to say to his critics is that, you can criticize till tomorrow. That is not going to improve the system. And I'm not his spokesperson here. I'm not his solicitor here, or his lawyer, or his defender, or his spokesman. But I think coming forward with better plans, better models will help. It will go a long way to help us, because we are all faced by this trouble, by this challenge, and we all have to look for a way of resolving this challenge. And what I say in terms of this is the time for everyone to come together and start thinking about, okay, what can we do to beat this virus? Yes, those guys are in the lab trying to look for a vaccine that will actually eliminate it completely. But then, how do we keep ourselves safe before they gain that success as well? How do we keep the health system going? How do we help our health workers? We've been listening to reports of complaints from our doctors, our nurses, about how the job is just becoming so exhaustive at the moment. And we should be worried, because it's not only about the spaces now, it's about the GP looking at it, the doctor looking at it, oh my God, I don't think I want to work here anymore. I just want to go somewhere else and work. I don't think we want a situation whereby we'll be saying we have it already. We have shortages of health workers anyway. So that's a known fact even before, pre-pandemic. So that's a known fact. But actually it's getting worse. I won't rant more than that on the COVID-19 thing. Yeah, I won't rant more than that. The other thing I want to rant about is about how people have become more selfish after coming out of the lockdown. And when I mean selfish, I mean parents to pupils in schools. Yes. Let's start with the Glasgow City Council, who during the COVID lockdown thing started the car-free zone. I mean, it's a school car-free, parking-free zone. In Glasgow. And I think they are in the second phase now. And the thing there for me is that in some areas of Glasgow, this project has caused more problems than the positives. If you go to the south side of Glasgow, the east end of Glasgow, the northeast, if you go around Glasgow, you see this. In some areas, it has worked perfectly fine, but in some, no. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know why it's so hard for Glasgow City Council, even though you've designed a project, you've designed a model, why can't we review it and look at how we can improve things? I know of schools where some parents from the parent council have been trying their best to keep the roads safe for not only the pupils, but also for the school staff and also for the community, the residents of the area. Trying to stop people from parking where they're not supposed to park and things like that. And these parents get abused. They are talked to rudely by other parents. Imagine a parent trying to create safety net for your children and his or our own children. And you are abusive to such a person. You send emails to the councillors, they send emails to the people in charge of that project. It's fine, it's good. Yes, we see what the Glasgow City Council is doing with the digital campaign for road safety. But the truth is, what percentage of the population of Glasgow actually looks at that digital campaign you're doing? How many people actually have Twitter accounts or Facebook accounts or all these social media platforms? Yeah, you can talk about the young ones having it, but how many of them are parents? Yeah, can talk about Serena having it or Zainab having it or even George having it. Yeah, we can even talk about Councillor Graham Campbell having it. Even Humza Yusuf having it. Even Douglas Ross having it. Or even my friend, Councillor Ibinu Adebayo having it. We can talk about lecturers having it. We can talk about some business people having it. Yeah. But the truth is, how many of those people have even mentioned, apart from their position or their concern for any project close to that, will go onto their Twitter or onto their Facebook page and talk about road safety or look at what the council is doing there? And for me, I think it's time for the people, the road safety officers, to get out of their office. Stop sitting on the desk. I'm not paying my tax for you to sit on the desk there and be bringing out digital things. I want you to get out on the street. Let's solve this problem. The transport department in the city council there, if it's time for them to put cameras up in some places where they will give people fines and everything to raise funds, they will do it quickly. Boom, boom, boom. It gets done. COP26 is coming. It wasn't difficult for the city council to start putting cycle lanes on our roads without even consulting with us. But we've accepted it. We are all facing the challenges of that together. But the question is that actually helping us to be more green? What's today's date? Today is the 22nd of September 2021. Every 22nd of September around the world globally is car-free day. Car-free day, which means we should, as much as possible, have less use of the car, or just don't touch your car that day. Go out by any other means. But what I've witnessed on the airmates today, or places I've been today, I think I saw the highest number of vehicles on any road today in Glasgow, the places I've been today, in the year. Yeah. Some people don't even know today is car-free zone. I went to pick my daughter from school today, and I had to be having a chat with virtually all the parents who parked on the pavement, on the street. And it was difficult for people who brought their pram to pick their kids, or even kids who are on bicycle or scooter, to even move. And this is happening across Glasgow. And when you talk to people at the Arms of Affairs, oh, we know about this, but we don't know what the solution. Why will you tell me we don't know what the solution will be? Does it mean the school car-free zone, car parking zone you're doing as just a white elephant project or just a white goose chase? So why can you call for us to sit down in each area? Let's see how this project will be modeled to help each area. It's not too much of a ask. It's not. And you have some schools where there are some retail parks there. The management of the retail parks have agreed that okay, between 8:30 and 9:15 you can use our car park. Between 2:30 and 3:15 you can use our car parks. And these car parks are just 2-3 minutes walk from the schools. But some parents don't just bother. They just decide to park. Even if you're parking, why don't you park somewhere safe for everybody? Some will even park in the block of the car, the driveway of some other of the residents. Or you even see some of them parking on clearly marked lines where you're not supposed to park. And I asked the question when we were all doing our theory test, when you're all doing our driving test, driving things, we're all like looking at it and say, oh yeah, we do this. But what I would say is this: if you know the right thing and you're not doing it, I remember fella saying animals in human skins, but I think we've moved that music more to politicians, but we can actually mold it to the people. I've been ranting here, and you wouldn't believe what's been happening here as well, because Serena has been ranting as well. Zainab also ranting. Imagine. But I won't tell you what they're ranting about. But what I want to say is that, yes, we've had the rant today, and that's the rant for me today. Really, guys, it's enough of you people doing whatever you're doing. Let's get together. Let's see how we'll get Scotland to be a better place, regardless of who you are, regardless of your background or where you're from. We need to come together, work together to get this nation to be a better place for every one of us to live in. On that note, next week we'll be back again. And next week, really, I'm going to be focusing strictly on Nigeria. Why? Because by this time next week, it will be 29th of September, and it will just be like 2 days to the Independence Day of Nigeria, which is the 1st of October. And we will talk about Nigeria and Nigerians in the UK in particular. On that note, I am Lion Olu Shokunbi, who has been your anchor today on the Nigerian Pride. I'm not leaving you, but Serena and Zainab are sending me away. I'll see you next week.